Hello and welcome back to Lesson 3 of the Grade 1 Music Theory course, this time about beaming notes. We'll start off looking at what beams are, and then we'll look at the rules of thumb for beaming. Now at the moment, the only time signatures we've looked at are 2/4, 3/4 and 4/4, so we'll focus exclusively on these. We'll then go on to see when these rules about beaming are broken, which will then lead us nicely onto strong and weak beats in the bar. What are beams? Beams are simply a method of joining notes into groups. The notes which have flags can be joined together. As an example, here is two quavers, which, when beamed together, they turn into this. You'll notice the flags are all linked in a straight line instead of being separate. Quavers aren't the only notes which can be beamed together. When semiquavers are beamed, both flags are joined together so they are grouped like quavers, but still distinguishable as semiquavers. You can also have more than two notes beamed together, and you can have different note values beamed together. Notice how the semiquaver still has two flags, whereas quavers still have one flag. This allows the different notes to be distinguished from one another. So the first thing that's important to mention about beams is that they don't change the sound of the music. Instead, the role of beams is to reinforce and strengthen the time signature and make reading and understanding music much easier. There are two rules of thumb for beaming. Rule 1, beams can never cross a bar line. And Rule 2, in 2/4, 3/4 and 4/4 time, all the time signatures covered so far, notes are beamed together to show different crotchet beats. To explain these rules clearer, we'll look at some examples. The first example we'll look at is in 2/4 time. You will notice the notes are already beamed together, but they are not beamed across the first and second beat. This allows you to recognize and immediately see the different beats in the bar. The second thing to notice is that the beams don't go across the bar line. This again brings emphasis to the time signature and makes the music much easier to read. The second example we'll look at is in 3/4 time. Once again, the beams do not go across the bar line, which, like before, emphasizes the time signature and makes the music much easier to read. Notes are also not beamed across the first and second beat in the second bar, which again allows the different beats to be given more emphasis, and the time signature is given emphasis as well. The final example is in 4/4 time. There's nothing we haven't covered before in this example, but instead it is used to really show you how the four beats in each bar are easily identifiable and recognizable, and even without time signature, there will be little doubt that this extract is in 4/4 time. The first exception to the rule of thumb, however, is that notes can be beamed across the entire bar if the bar is in 2/4 or 3/4 time. Consequently, this beaming is correct, and this beaming is correct. The second rule of thumb is that in 4/4 time, unlike 2/4 and 3/4, you can't beam across the entire bar. However, you can beam across half the bar. The beams are just not allowed to cross the center of the bar. So this one would be incorrect, and this one would be correct. In Western music, some beats will be given more emphasis than others. The stronger beats and weaker beats are usually determined by the time signatures. The stronger beats might have notes that are played louder, the notes might last longer on a stronger beat, or the notes might be given more emphasis because of the general rhythm of the piece. But it is important to note that this isn't always the case. Now in 2/4 and 3/4 time, the first beat of the bar is normally the strongest, while the remaining beats are weaker. To explain this better, we'll use the example looked at earlier. In this example of 2/4, the first beat is strong, while the second beat is weak. And in this example of 3/4, we again have a strong first beat, which is then followed by two weak beats. Notice, however, that in 3/4, the second weaker beat is the longest note in the bar. This can confuse a listener if it happens too frequently, and it takes away from the time signature. So it's generally avoided until you become a very advanced composer. In 4/4 time, there are two strong beats. The first and third beat are both strong beats, while the second and fourth beats are weaker. Therefore, in the example we looked at earlier, the first beat is strong, while the second is weaker. The third is then also strong, and the fourth is then weaker. The first beat of each bar is usually stronger than the third, but both beats should have some form of importance or emphasis when compared to the other beats. These strong and weak beats explain the beaming of notes. In 2/4 and 3/4 time, we learned you are only allowed to beam across an entire bar. This is because you are not beaming across any strong beats, only weak beats. However, if we recall in 4/4 time, you cannot beam across an entire bar. If we apply the principle of weak and strong beats to the beaming, we can now realize that you can't beam across the entire bar because you are unable to beam from a weak beat to a strong beat, as the beams are designed to bring some form of emphasis to the different groups of beats within a bar. So that's all you need to know to understand the basic concepts of beaming, and that's all that's really necessary to know about beaming for Grade 1 music theory. So as always, thanks for watching. There are free exercises or worksheets alongside written lessons on all Grade 1 topics available at learningmusictheory.co.uk. Please like, comment and subscribe if you found the video useful. It is much appreciated and it really helps me out. See you in the next lesson.